Hello, boys and ghouls. We are back once again for Halloween week, Pop Culture Reacts. And Seddon's going all sore and wants to
We're,
play
on,
a little game.
we're on Halloween Eve, aren't we? I think that's what you describe it as. The day before Halloween. I
Yes.
presume it's or All
Or,
Hallows Eve. I don't know.
no, because All Hallows Eve is
It's
Halloween.
Halloween, yeah. All Hallows Eve Eve.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
And yes, you're going all sore and want to play a little game.
Yes, well, like when we do these sort of theme weeks, we like to get some suggestions from all of you lovely people out there, and we like to do a couple of bits for ourselves. And I wasn't really sure what to do for my second bit of Halloween week music, and I had three in my head, and I went, well, rather than make a decision, why don't I push that decision onto you? So let's give you three sentence song descriptions, and you pick one of those sentences, and that is the song that we're going to do. So you can pick either a quirky song from a horror movie that I love, you can pick a wrestling theme tune, and let's say from an act that I really like in wrestling, and third, you can pick a hip hop song with a sample connection to Halloween and horror.
Wrestling, please.
Well, I thought you might go wrestling, so I almost didn't put the wrestling one in, and I also think that you are going to like the wrestling one that we are doing, but I'm just going to send you the link because this is a drawback to when you're recording this and someone's playing it live. Got to get the stuff done in the background, but I will start talking about it, and I think you will know instantaneously what it will be. And I guess for a bit of context as to why I think it fits Halloween, well, I would say it's for a spookier, darker side of of wrestling. So this is a TNA act, and this is one of my favourite factions of all time, and one of my favourite factions that features probably my favourite female wrestler of all time, and it is the Decay. And when the Decay first debuted, they debuted to Marilyn Manson and the Nobodies, and this song has stayed with me ever since. I absolutely love it. I love the theme tune they went with after they stopped paying Marilyn Manson for their licensed music. But as much as I like the music they went to, whenever I see any of the acts from it, so Abyss or Crazy Steve, and latterly when I got Jessica Havoc in, whenever they come out, it is always, always, always Marilyn Manson that's playing in my ears, if not playing for the TV.
So, is this the point where I say that this Marilyn Manson album is my favourite of all of the Manson albums?
This must be quite
Uh,
hard for you as well, isn't it? Because it's like picking from some of your favourite children, and that made it sound like you've got
it
many children.
is.
But
I only have the one child, but there are multiple Marilyn Manson albums for me to pick from. So yes, it is a tough one to go with. But yeah, this was the my my favorite of all of the albums. It was the right album at the right time uh, thing. So it is that one of just like, oh yes,
well, it's odd because I think there's a gap of time, isn't there? And you'll know more being a Manson fan, but I I think this wasn't kind of at the like so when he's releasing this, I don't think they grabbed it for it, and it was a song that had passed me by, and we said about going back to the What We Do in the Shadows song, You're Dead.
yes.
I actually don't think I'd have heard this Marilyn Manson song if it wasn't for the Decay using it. I think it just would have passed me by. It wouldn't have got in my eye lines. And like wrestling, to the most part, is certainly the big companies like WWE. Most of the time, it's not licensed music, is it? It's
No.
recorded themselves music, which sometimes some absolute bangers. Don't get me wrong, but rarely are you dipping into that and finding release songs that you might have missed out on. But yeah, I love the crew, love the song. perfect mix for me.
Yes, it's 2002. This album came out.
Yeah, and the I can't remember exactly, but I don't think the Decay are around until 2014. I think 2015.
Yes, it's been a while. So shall we become the Nobodies?
Let's do this.
Today I'm dirty. I want to be pretty. Tomorrow I know I'm just dead. Today I'm dirty. I want to be pretty. Tomorrow I know I'm just dead. Feel nobody's wanna be somebody's. We're dead now, just who we are. Feel nobody's wanna be somebody's. We're dead now, just who we are. Yesterday I was dirty, wanted to be pretty. No, now that I'm forever dead. Yesterday I was dirty, wanted to be pretty. No, now that I'm forever dead. Feel nobody's wanna be somebody's. We're dead now, just who we are. Feel nobody's wanna be somebody's. We're dead now, just who we are. Shut down the other day. The machines and then we cry. You're coming down in moments like you should have seen the rain that day. Shut down the other day. The machines and then we cry. You're coming down in moments like you should have seen the rain that day. We're nobodies, wanna be somebody's. We're dead, but know just who we are. We're the nobodies, wanna be somebody's. We're dead, now just who we are. We're the nobodies, wanna be somebody's. We're dead, now just who we
The Nobodies.
Oh, I haven't seen that video in ages.
It's a great video, isn't it?
It
Like,
is.
and weirdly enough, I rarely watch the video because normally, if I'm either listening to it on Spotify or if I am going to watch it, I watch the debut of the Decay and hear it through that.
Yeah, it was that great period where Maz, again, like we've said on some other bits and pieces, where you'd be like, you were waiting for when they'd announced, oh, there's a new Marilyn Manson single coming. You were waiting to see the new video because it was always, what is it going to be?
Yeah.
what is he doing in this video? Because he is, especially for my generation and edgy kids like me at that time, he was such like the icon. You had like two bands that were like you always knew you were gonna get amazing videos from, was Maz and Rammstein, and it was just like, what story are they gonna tell? What is he? What are they gonna do this time round? And yeah, it just sort of right back into me being an excited little 18-year-old and be like, look, new Marilyn Manson, new Marilyn Manson, and like just yeah, because I got into Maz in like '97 when um, Beautiful People was the thing, and it was just like
Yeah.
Bible burning, and it was like, ooh, shock, evil, naughtiness, but it was the sort of stuff that came out of that afterwards. I was got me because it wasn't so much, oh look, we're just doing something to upset the church and calling ourselves the Antichrist superstar. It was no, there's messaging, there's meaning, there's
Yeah.
misery
Well,
and a way of feeling about stuff. And
he's quite a tough artist to talk about, isn't he? Because of
yeah,
like latterly, um, I'm just going to go with issues,
issues
and
and
people
shit
will,
music.
but people will fall like whichever side of the fence they do on it. But I think you're right. I think during this period, like pre this, up to and including this, and a little bit beyond, the could have quite easily, as you say, kind of just lived off of that image, that visual. But I think that visual probably gets his foot through a door. But it's the thought, and I mean the real thought into what the songs are about, how they're lyrically put together, how they blend with the music, and then, as you say, how they will visually use sort of stunning, and I would say like macabrely beautiful videos to keep you there.
Yeah,
And yeah, I think to a large part, this song, especially, as I say, I come across it through um, it being a wrestling theme tune, and I think at first, like that opening beat and kind of plot intro, perfect to people coming out of a wrestling, and then of course the music kicks in, and then the ferocity, the delivery as the song goes on, and the vocals. All very, very compelling and catchy. But as you listen to it a few times, you really start to hear the lyrics
yeah,
and get into the lyrics, and there's a ton of depth here, and of course, like the like subject matter around school shootings that he was speaking about, and you just go, that's why I think, even if it's just in a capsule of time, um, um, an excellent artist for that capture of time, and I think often not given the credit he deserves, even before a lot of the kind of negative stuff. Probably wasn't given the credit he deserves by lots of people, because I think lots of people just went, "Oh, here's that dude who looks weird," or whatever term they want to use, and he's just
yeah.
cashing on that. But no, I think there's some amazing attempts to get across a message. Maybe I didn't always love the message, but went in quite brave, and I guess you could say controversial. And sometimes there's that concept of courting controversy just for the sake of it, but I don't think so.
Hmm.
I think like a genuine wanting to open discourse on certain subject matters, and delivering it in a medium that grabbed the attention of lots of people.
It's the thing with him, especially in this period. Obviously, yes, he got blamed for Columbine because they said that the kids had Marilyn Manson CDs, but turns out they never did. But he was easily to be the scapegoat because a few years earlier, he's the one on stage in the Bible Belt in America tearing up a Bible. He looks weird. He has a video where he's got police in pink uniforms copping off each other. He made himself an easy target, but on a base level. Whereas where if you've seen Bottom of Columbine,
Yeah.
when he comes out and he speaks in that, and it's just like he isn't just this. Oh look at me, I'm scary. I think that was the point where a lot of people saw he is a very, very clever person. He is a very clever man,
I
and
think
there is
I think clever
a
is
lot
spot
more
on with it. Yeah.
depth there. And it is in everything that he was doing at that point. Yes, the first album and the first sort of EP slash sort of second album, Smells Like Children, are very base level weird for the sake of being weird and shocking.
As you say,
It's
that sometimes it's the thing that gets your foot in the door, doesn't it?
yeah,
You know.
but then obviously Antichrist Superstar as a whole, yes, is most known for the iconography of burning Bibles and you know Satan and all that side of it. But there's so much in there that is about self hate and
Yeah.
self harm and learning to like yourself, rebirth. But people don't look at that; they just hear, Antichrist Superstar. He's evil. But yeah, there is a lot there. It's just a shame that about 5 years after this, his last good album came out, and his music since then's been maybe one or two good songs on an album.
Well, and there's partially probably a degree of we have moments in our lives, don't we? So like how I think of the world and how I think things should go or whatever. It's very different now than it was 15 years ago. Hopefully, to the most part, I feel like I've grown into a better person, but maybe not. And not always do you? Do you?
Mm.
Sometimes you have your greatest moments early on in life. And when I say greatest moments, I don't mean like, oh, I'm the high school quarterback greatest moments. I mean, like the world speaks to you, and I think experiences that you go through over those years are going to impact you. And we often say this when we talk about rappers, don't we? Most rappers' great albums are the ones where they've come up through poverty, and then 2 to 3 albums into it, where they've kind of got the payoff for that, and they've led this fantastic life of champagne, fast cars, etc., etc., etc. The content becomes a lot less interesting because effectively they've probably become a lot less interesting
Mm.
as a person because they don't really have anything to say anymore. But with sort of with Marilyn Manson, that I'm going to use the word angst, but angst sounds a bit sort of twee for it. But how he got to where he got to, and as you say, that feeling of being an outsider and probably having this real desire to shout at the world about what it was like to be an outsider, but also shout to the world about what it's like for other people who are outsiders. And
Yeah,
um, there comes a point where he's not the outsider anymore, is he? Like
yeah,
he's not. And his thoughts and feelings on that have probably changed. And I was just going to pick up on the Columbine bit. They can never want to make light of tragedies like that, and whether there's any credit or credence to the kids who did this having any motivations from anyone. It's a moot point for me. I've lived for a life where child's play was blamed for the Bulger killings. Video games are the worst thing since sliced bread. Music and yeah, people can be influenced, but not deliberately. And I think the truth is that uh, I can't help but feel if your mindset is in a certain way and it's in a very dark place where a tragedy like this is probably going to be triggered, something would have triggered that. Doesn't
yeah,
matter kind of what at that point. And I kind of there's a bit, isn't there, in Bowling for Columbine where he's asked about what he would say to the shooters, and I can't remember exactly what it is, but he says something akin to
So
I
I'd
wouldn't say
say
anything to
nothing,
them.
just
I'd
listen.
listen to them because,
Yeah,
and that's what nobody did. And like, okay, it can be a sort of a smart publicist after the fact could kind of go, right, you're going to be in this movie, that you'll be remembered for this. But I don't feel like it was that. I feel like that was sort of genuinely his thoughts and feelings on it. And I think it is moments like that where you go, um, stop always trying to look for what is to blame for when a tragedy happens, and probably go, what actually was the root cause of why, in this case, like a young kid felt like that was their only out. And it ain't going to be a song, it ain't going to be a movie, it ain't going to be a video game. Like, there is a lot more that happens that gets someone to that point. And like, you get a song like this, Nobodies, and there probably is, this probably sang and spoke to so many people who felt like they were nobody, and
yeah,
that they're going through the feelings that are sort of covered in this. And we talk about God, we started off with a wrestling theme tune and look where we got to. But that's the beauty of art, be it movies, TV, music, books, comic books, whatever it is that floats your boat. And I think that's why I get very precious when people are accusatory to it being an inciter. Unless, and there are some cases where they're deliberate inciters, aren't they? Like, that's the purpose of it. But like, I don't know, like, he probably helped a lot more people than he would ever harm. P.S. Not getting into the stuff that happens later, but
yeah,
like, I think spoke to an audience and was probably a really good outlet for so many people who were struggling with life.
yeah. So down there, let us know what you think of the Nobodies, and other Maz stuff. 'Cause obviously I've been as a massive Maz fan, I didn't want to be like, here is all the Marilyn Manson things, but
That's why I kind of snuck this one in, because I thought then you get a freebie out of it. I thought you'd like it.
but if you lot out there pick some stuff, then we can use it, and I can do it guilt free. As always,
Also, before we go on, I know I said we love wrestling. I think we've mentioned it on once before, but for anyone who's not watched us before, we do love wrestling. And if you've got any passing interest in wrestling, or not even a passing interest in wrestling, go on to YouTube and search out the Decay, and you get to see them come out to this theme tune. You get to see them introduced, and Impact Wrestling have got a lovely subscription service where you can watch the stuff. I would say, though, don't just stop at the Decay. Follow Rosemary, who is my favourite female wrestler of all time, throughout all the highlights, especially when she starts interacting with Ali, and we get Demon X Bunny, and when we get into the fact that she's a demon assassin and all these crazy things you don't expect to be in a wrestling show, but some amazing storytelling.
yes. So as always, YouTube things, like, subscribe, and ring bells. And until next time, good day.